Welcome back to Tran Wins Tactics Ogre.
Make yourself at home.
We're going to embark on a quest to recruit this character called Deneb. There's a few things to keep in mind. She's considered one of the more complex characters to recruit, but not as bad as Cressida. First off, there is an optional condition to recruit her, which will improve her class, but we'll go with what the game considers it mechanically first. To unlock orbs for purchase, you must auction off your monsters using this button here. Auction off your monster, and then they will unlock certain things such as foods and orbs, depending on the monster. And I'll include a spreadsheet about my note on what monsters I've unlocked and auctioned off beginning of this episode, as well as what days you can find Deneb in each store, which I personally verified for myself, just to make sure that the information I was using and referring to was 100% accurate for this version of the game, the PC Steam version of Reborn. Anyways, you do need to buy one of every orb from her store, including the Void Orb, which is from a Hydra. But you don't have to auction off all the monsters at her store. You can auction off the monsters anywhere, as long as you end up buying them from her store. Once you've bought all these orbs, she will ask you, will you help me? If you say no, which you might because you want to keep her store around or something, or you don't need a recruiter, whatever the case, then if you wish to recruit her after that again, you need to buy a second set of all the orbs. Keep in mind that when you buy an orb and it's the last of its kind, such as this one is a radiant orb, I'm going to go ahead and buy this right one. Actually, we'll wait until I get to that section. But when you buy all the orbs, keep in mind that this list may move. That's what this icon here means, this little bag. It means it's limited in stock, depending on how many monsters you've auctioned. Apparently, I have only auctioned off one Arc Dragon, one light-based dragon, so I only have one of these. But I have lots of Gale Orbs because I've auctioned off lots of Wind Griffins and Wind Dragons, Cloud Dragons. Alright, so that's how you recruit her. What about getting her the optional class, the Wicce? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. But you have to go to upgrade relics. And when you're upgrading relics, the only thing that matters to her is that you've upgraded relics 3 times. It can be the same relic 3 times, it can be 3 different relics, it doesn't matter. I've tried 2 just to make sure. I've tried a lot more to see if there's even a better hidden class after that. You just need to do 3. I'm going to kind of show you the best way to combine your relics, but that's not really necessary if you're just looking to upgrade her. But I will show you the best way so you get the most mileage, most bang for your buck. This greased ring here, this crown and this purple number indicates that these stats are maxed. Whenever you level up a ring, it always goes to minimum +1. This greased ring, we'll consider this greased ring number 1, has 1 bludgeon, 2 slash, 7 piercing. This greased ring number 2 has 4 bludgeon and then lower stats for the others. When we combine these, it's going to have 4 bludgeon +1. Observe. Here we have the first one is 1, 2, 7. Combine it with the second one, it becomes 4 + 1, which is 5. All the other stats, it's a minimum of 1 growth for everything. No matter how many things there are, there's a minimum of 1 growth. And then if there are any numbers higher in your combined item, it matches that +1. So we'll go and combine this one.
What will it be, dear?
And we'll try another one. We'll do a range just to show you that it applies to weapons as well. One of the things I personally had looked for before upgrading things is if it was an item that had an effect, I'd maybe consider holding more of that. But I haven't used too many crossbows in the game, so we'll go ahead and combine one of these. I didn't actually look at the stats of the first Asmax, so we'll take a look. Let's see here. Stats. Here we go. For weapon stats, it's page 1. For armor stats, it's page 3. These are the stats. These are the stats that'll matter for your weapon: piercing damage, element, and racial bonuses. Let's just pick this first one, because I'm doing this as a demonstration. This one's 14, 14, 15. Any of the stats that they have that was higher, such as the element and the racial, well, it goes to that level +1. What you want to do is first, when you're looking at maximizing your relic upgrades, try to boost everything that is the lowest. Because as you are upgrading, you will eventually hit a cap for stuff, and then when you're basically wasting upgrades. Here's what I mean. Like this one, remember that greased ring number 3 that had max slashing, max piercing? Well, I pretty much am losing upgrades for these because they're maxed, so I have to spend a whole ring just on upgrading the bludgeon. If you can, if you're able to manage it and keep your sanity doing so, try to build up the lowest of any stats. In this case, it's dragon, well, and water. So this looks pretty decent, actually. This will boost things up to 17, 15, 16. At most, I might waste a couple stat points if the cap was at 20. Each weapon has a different cap. One weapon might have a cap at 19, another weapon might have a cap at 25. Let's go and combine this.
What will it be, dear?
And then we have a 17, 15, 16. We do have one that is a dragon, so if we combine this 16 dragon with an 18 dragon, we'll go up to 19 dragon. Now, we don't actually... I mean, we could do that, but keep in mind that we still would be behind on water element. Something to keep in mind. Maybe we might consider saving the 18 dragon for a future crossbow. But I'm just showing you a sampling of this stuff. Let's go and combine one of these weapons. So how about, let's see, how about... This has a spell of exorcism. Which, wow, cool, you don't really use exorcism in every battle, so I can afford to lose a couple of those. Whereas, I could always use Ice Blast to level up. Which of these should we use as our base? We can see that we have one here that is a 22 anti-skeleton, or anti-undead. That's pretty impressive. We have a 29 here. Why don't we start with that as our base? Even though it's probably very close to cap, if we don't start with that as our base, and we might as well be we could end up wasting stuff. Here's what I mean. Let's say I combine this 22 with this 17. By that math, we will end up with 23. And then I combine it later with this, and then I'll end up with 30 anyways. We might as well just start with it. Now, it doesn't matter if it's actually the first or second, but I like to use it as my first, just so I have clearly in my head which of my 100 relics I'm combining. We don't need to worry about this one, because that's probably going to hit caps pretty soon. I think this was 18 light, wasn't it? Yeah, 18 light. What we really want to look for is raising this slash marker. Here's the 21, that's pretty good. We can see here that 21 was already one step away from maxing out, and that was a raw Oricion sword. That was a raw sword. I hadn't enhanced that. And then this one was an anti-undead. It's already one away from cap. So all we have to do is start raising the cap, or raising the light on this one, and we can max that out. Alright, that's 3 relics. Once you've combined 3 relics, you've unlocked or you've triggered a flag, which will, no matter how many times you refuse to hire her, promote her into the Wicce class once you've acquired her. Remember, I said that if you, for whatever reason, and there's no practical reason to do so, but if for whatever reason you rejected hiring her after you bought all the orbs, you just need to buy all the orbs again. You only need to do the artifacts once. Alright, let's go ahead and buy all these orbs. I'll start with the Radiant Orb just so you can see what I was about to discuss earlier. We can see here I have 1 left, meaning like there's only 1 that I can buy. When you buy orbs, just keep in mind what the last orb you bought was, because it will shift your menu. Let's say that I'm buying from Gloom. I'll say like, okay, I've got 8, buy that. Radiant, sure, buy that. And I'm thinking like, hey, I bought the second thing, so I would go up to the 3rd one, Black Ice. Well, in this case, that is true because I was working from the bottom, but you'll notice that the menu itself shifted. Do bear that in mind. Working from the bottom will be the safest, but for whatever reason, if you happen to buy the last of an orb, or your menu shifts, try to remember, did I buy the Black Ice orb or not? In this case, I know that it was a Radiant orb that I purchased, not the Black Ice, so we do need 1 of these. I'll go and buy 1 of everything now. And then as you attempt to leave, she'll approach you with an offer. If you say no, you can always do this again by buying an orb.
Be seeing you. Denam, dear, I find myself in a spot of trouble. I was hoping you might... No, but I wouldn't want to inconvenience you.
You started this. Finish what you meant to say.
No. I'm not in the habit of imposing on others. The one who spilt the brew should mop it up. Forget I said anything. Off with you now. Ta-ta!
No, let's hear it. Perhaps I can help.
I wouldn't ask that much. It's a nuisance, really.
A nuisance? Tell me what it is, and I'll be the judge of that.
I shouldn't want to be obliged to you, dear. A young lady should never let herself feel obliged.
She's right about one thing. This is a nuisance.
Cute but slow, this one. A girl likes a man with a strong, firm hand.
you should, speak to yourself more quietly.
Oh, my lips betray me.
Say what you have to say.
Oh, I haven't upset him, have I? My dear little goose.
I heard that as well. Spit it out, would you?
Ahem. Yes, well, I am a witch, as you know. Witch are witch, it's all the same.
The pointy hat rather gave it away.
And as a witch, I find myself dabbling in a great deal of magic, always concocting something new.
Trouble, most like.
But if it weren't for this meager shop, I'd scarce have enough money to eat.
The shop thrives. Perhaps she's a spendthrift.
There is that, yes. I needed someone to help me around the shop.
And you thought to ask me?
Oh, you have the war to deal with. I wouldn't think of troubling you with something so trivial. That's why I decided to make a servant.
Make a servant?
Something I could manipulate with magic. A mindless golem. Clay golems are positively medieval, so I used a pumpkin instead.
You made a golem out of a pumpkin? Well, where is it? I don't see any pumpkin golem.
Oh, so quick to find fault. You may think I failed, but I never fail. The animation went perfectly, but it was, after all, a pumpkin. And apparently, pumpkins make for poor servants.
So it was a failure.
What was that?
I didn't say anything.
You're sure? I wouldn't want to make me angry if I were you.
Back to the pumpkin.
They said I wasn't paying them enough. And they quit.
What paying them enough? But they're golems.
Ahem. I pride myself on attention to detail. I needed proper servants, so I made them as lifelike as possible. I gave them wills of their own.
In other words, a failure.
I didn't catch that.
So, where are these pumpkin golems now?
Well, they tried to rob me, but I am an accomplished spellcaster. I taught them a lesson they won't forget, and they fled screaming from my shop.
Exactly how many are we talking about?
I lost count. I have been known to get a little carried away.
Where are they?
Well, that's just the trouble. They were quite intent on being paid, you see. They're ransacking the village for coin.
This is starting to sound like more than a nuisance.
You see, I can't help but feel partly responsible.
What? Partly? So why haven't you done anything about it?
They're in a frenzy. I can't handle them alone.
Why do I get the feeling she's enjoying this?
Never. But I do need your help, dear.
Stay out of my thoughts, if you don't mind. So, wait. All this was to ask me to help you exterminate some pumpkins?
Yes, I suppose it was. I'd be ever so grateful.
Are you going to tell me where they are?
Oh, yes. Their leader called herself Punkin, a thick-rinded, particularly insolent creature. She said she wanted to become human.
Why would she want to do that?
Oh, I said something to the effect that only humans were paid for their labor. Punkin must have taken that to heart. Or to seed. Seeds. Whatever.
I'm starting to feel sorry for the pumpkins.
Come again?
I said I feel sorry for the pumpkins.
No sympathy for poor Deneb. I feel a tear running down my cheek.
Ugh, this is getting old.
Ahem. When Punkin asked me how she could become human, I told her some relic of the Dragon Lords might make it possible.
I don't believe this.
Come again?
Then they're headed for the Palace of the Dead.
Precisely! I will accompany you, of course. I wouldn't think of asking you to go alone. I will have to close the shop, but it should be worth it for our romantic getaway.
As if the pumpkin golems weren't enough.
Deneb joined the party as a guest. While you can attempt to farm her stats, as in re-roll her, go through the dialogue and re-roll her for better stats, if you are planning on upgrading her to a Wicce or Wicce, that's the way she pronounced it, a Wicce, it doesn't actually matter. Also, the stuff that you have equipped her with will automatically go to you. Either way. So if you keep her as a witch and then just don't recruit her, it goes to your inventory. If you upgrade her as a Wicce, still goes to your inventory. If you recruit her as a witch, goes to your inventory. So you don't have to worry about unequipping her. You don't even have to worry about equipping her. Meaning that if I wanted to give her, say, this holy crown, that's cool. It doesn't matter. It will go right back to me. But she is a guest, so we don't have to worry too much about leveling up this stuff here. Speaking of which, when we had Kashua, I know for sure that I upgraded her hammer as a guest. So this is a totally different character. The reason I'm talking about this is when you upgrade her to Wicce, she is going to be a slightly different character. A different, what do you call it? We'll call it database entry. So not that you were going to use charms on her or anything, but totally different character. Model or whatever. When they talk about the Palace of the Dead, that is over here, and this is the town that they're robbing. So we'll go ahead and head on over there now and deal with the golems. Win with a warlock, obtain a buff card, and use a recruit skill. We probably won't get this one because I'm going to try to win this in one overall action round. While we're here, let's go ahead and hear everything else that Neb has to say.
I can't help but feel a sense of obligation. I had better see this through to the end.
I moved her because I went ahead and cycled through my characters and organized them for this upcoming battle. Not that the battle's hard, I just wanted to look cool by completing it in one turn round.
No need to be cruel. You haven't tired of me already, have you? How could you possibly want to change anything about me?
They're everywhere.
Oh, don't look so grim. Take down Punkin and the rest should go quietly.
Which one's Punkin? They all look the same.
Punkin! Punkin! You can come out now. Mummy's not upset with you anymore.
Nothing.
That's strange. I wonder where she's gone.
They seem docile enough now. Maybe we can simply ask them to come back.
It's worth a try. Punkin! Punkin! Mummy's brought you your allowance.
Still not biting.
Punkin doesn't want allowance. Punkin wants real monies.
She's here.
I told you, Punkin. Only people get paid to work. That's my position and I'm sticking to it.
She's nothing if not stubborn.
But Punkin is a people!
How is this possible?
This isn't funny, Punkin. If you mean to challenge me, you're in for a rude awakening. I don't know what sort of glamour this is, but get rid of it this instant.
Punkin could do that. But Punkin thinks you will be sorry.
I've been patient, but enough is enough. We'll see how insolent you are when you're baking in a pie dish. Come, Denam. Let us show her who she's up against.
How did I get myself into this?
Alright. There are a couple times where I haven't actually been a bloodthirsty warmonger. Generally, if I felt that the people didn't need killing based off of storyline senses. In this case, all they want to do is get paid for their work. We actually won't be slaughtering them all. I've set up everybody's RT, so they should all be working exactly the way I intend. Because I only brought in a select few, but you can bring them up to 10. Even though that's 0%, this will complete our objective for the recruit skill. In case my care mirror didn't strike enough times, I had another fairy ready to fairy chain. It would kiss the first fairy, who would then kiss Denam again. Denam did reach level 36 as a witch, but remember that we're getting a new character database entry, so the one we get will be level 32 and none of this will matter. Not even the proficiencies, which we see here, this is level 2.
Aw, just when Punkin was finally a people. Punkin only wanted to be treated like everybody else.
Why not give her a second chance, Deneb? The village isn't too badly damaged, really.
Spare the rod, spoil the pumpkin, Denam.
You said yourself that you needed someone to help out. If you leave Punkin to tend the shop, you could even come with us.
That sounds like a proposal.
What do you say, Punkin?
How rude.
Punkin will get paid? And others too?
I am the shop's proprietress, so I'll need a fair split of the profits. Say 70%?
Ooh, splitting hairs more like.
True. A proprietress deserves her share. Still, 20%.
Not shy, is she?
50%.
30.
40, and that's my final offer.
35.
What have I started?
Have to have the last word, eh? Fine, 35, but you'll pay the others out for your end.
Deal.
And don't go forgetting who your master is.
Deneb wants to join the party as a Wicce. Alright, before we can head on to the next area, we need to do the war and report. This is one we've been sitting on for a while. Galgastan is sighted at Lhazan. But before we do that, one last delay, one last procrastination, Punkin's Peddlin' Patch opens. Good news for collectors of trinkets and treasures. Deneb's Emporium, renowned for Stocking all manner of rare curiosities has reopened under a new name. Patrons are served by Punkin, a mistress even more beautiful than Deneb herself. She peddles her wares as she travels the lands, so consider yourself fortunate indeed if you happen upon her. Alright, this is where we are. Rumor has it that the remnants of the Galgastani army are gathering at Lhazan Fortress, site of the recent Bakr massacre of Vask faithful. The Galgastani soldiers' plans are not known, but they could seek to use the fortress as a stronghold to fight the resistance. Now you can see that it's highlighted red for the activity. Win with Dragoon in the battle party, obtain a buff card.
Never thought I'd meet you here, Denam of Goliath. I thought my hatred ebbed and gone, but the sight of your face brings it boiling back. I will strike you down, for my fallen brothers, and for the Hierophant.
Even though I haven't been telling where all the stuff is in each map, I still am making notes for myself, and I'll try to mention it where the fortress is. Not that it's very good stuff. This Frost Dragon here will drop more stuff. This doesn't. He'll drop just his ring. If I'm pointing out somebody, they're dropping a separate loot table than their equipped items. This Cleric and this Knight will drop stuff, and this Knight will drop stuff, the male one. As usual, the boss can drop a Fruit of the Seraph. When you auction off monsters, not only do you get an orb for sale, but you also get food for sale, and that food can raise your stats. But we saw that the enemy does not really care about your reflection status if they're attacking you with offensive magic. I have verified that your companions do not care about your reflection status either when casting friendly magic. That's why we have Sword Masters here. It can not only heal the undead, but it is not a spell, technically, so it doesn't get classified as something to bounce back. I believe every character here, other than the two Lich and the Ghost, are level 36. In the previous map with Deneb, those pumpkins were level 32. All the resistance forces that we encounter will be level 36. I don't know if the Lhazan Galgastani would have been level 36 before Farnesia Castle, but they probably would have been. For a second there, I wondered why that sword master was attacking my own dragon, but then I remembered that's not my dragon. You found water. Now that's a surprise. Nice. Okay, not the best use of your warlock abilities there. And while we're over here on this side of the world, we will have an off-camera visit to the Palace of the Dead. While the extra relics will be nice, I imagine getting the extra charms for Denam will probably be more impactful. I will say that when I first emerged from the Palace of the Dead with all those relics, I was a little annoyed with trying to equip my army of 95-odd companions. And it got very exhausting. But now that I've merged them or refined them together, it isn't as bad, but still kind of obnoxious. I think I'm looking more forward to the 100 levels of charms than I am of extra relics. course, they're not going to surrender. Even though they're just down to 2 clerics, they can technically hit me for 1 damage.
Great Father, grant ye rest for the souls of Galgastan.
That was Lhazan Fortress, our 3rd one. Our first one was Gecko Fortress. Our second was Geld Fortress. So this is our 3rd. We were sitting on the top one for this fortress for quite some time because it wasn't quite relevant. Our 4th fortress will be Ndamsa Fortress, where we rescued Sestina using Folcourt's boat from the Bakram Liberation Front run by Surya. We have all of those characters, but no boat. Our 5th fortress will be Qadriga, and that is where we ran into Nibeth after fighting Moldova and Crisaro. And our 6th fortress will be Boed. Once we cleared out the bandits in each fortress, we then spent days traveling back to Courtenay Keep, where after they've been cleared out, Archieris Murevo will say, "Hey, there's a secret in those fortresses. Would you like to know more?" And you get to say yes or no. I don't know of any advantage of saying no, but you do get the quest line closed in that case. So if you say yes, you get to return to these fortresses again and then go inside. You're not allowed to go inside until then. So we will actually be back this way in a little bit, but we can't do anything further here. Next up, we're going to head to the Ndamsa Fortress, but first we're going to take a little detour. I'm going to edit this out. We're going to go to the Palace of the Dead, because we're over here anyways. Alright, that is our 2nd run of the Palace of the Dead. Let's head on to Brigantes Castle to set up literally the shop, and then we'll check out the Warren Report. Okay, there's a couple updates to people. Unfortunately, I had already clicked on them to kind of look at that, and I didn't have a good save file for this, so we'll have to find them again. We have the Wicce Deneb Rove. She created a band of pumpkin servants to help her with her shop, but they felt unfairly treated and rebelled against her. She brought them to heel with the help of Denam and went on to join the resistance. Here, then we have Punkin the Bewitched. One of the golems created by the Wicce Deneb to aid in her work. Punkin soon emerged as their leader due to her aggressive nature. She started life as a pumpkin, but took on human qualities through her strong desire to be treated fairly. Blamed for the banditry carried out at an abandoned village, she fought Denam and was defeated. In the end, she was allowed to take over Deneb's shop. She does brisk business, but has trouble keeping up with payments to Deneb and the other workers. She does appear to be enjoying herself at least. Apparently, she was taught the secret of becoming human by a sage she met in the Palace of the Dead, but she will say no more on the subject. In her spare time, she busies herself with growing pumpkins and perfecting her recipe for pumpkin pie. And there was one more, let's see here. Josephine, that was the lady we fought in Lhazan Fortress. None of the other in Geld Fortress or Gecko, I didn't find any entries for them though. A Galgastani who once fought for the armies of Galgastan. She was a Sibyl in the Order of Falaha, whose Galgastani faction favors Hierophant Balbatos above all others. Unlike the Wallistern Bakram forces, many Galgastani soldiers are affiliated with the Order. Among these, Sibyls often occupy positions of command. Since most Sibyls are inclined to respect order, not only do they exhibit the discipline needed in the military, but their fellow soldiers are also disposed to follow the commands of a Sibyl without question. Knowing this full well, Josephine threw herself into the fray, believing there was no better way to serve her country and her faith. Following the death of Hierophant Balbatos, she escaped to Lhazan Fortress. She spent her days there mourning her comrades killed in battle. Hearing that resistance forces were marching on the fortress, she took up arms against them once more in hopes of avenging the Hierophant and her fallen friends. But in the end, she was struck down and slain. From here, I'm excited to start our next recording because I've spent 2 in-game clock days in the Palace of the Dead. This has been something I've been waiting for quite some time. Let's head to Ndamsa Fortress. This is our first take. With the Dragoon, obtain a buff card. We have Formation 1 set for this, with our Dragoon, and of course they will have to work to get the buff card.
Denam of Goliath. I've a score to settle with you on the Hierophant's behalf.
Oh, I did find out what the guidebook was for. If you have a guidebook, and I kind of understood it to some degree, but I tried using it in battle thinking it would warp me. No. Here's how I believe they're supposed to work. When you have a guidebook 1, as you walk through the first level, it will prompt you if you want to skip to the second region. And then when you walk through the first room or the second region with the Palace Guidebook 2, it'll prompt you if you want to go to the third region, and so forth. So I was thinking that you had to use it in battle or use it somewhere and you just warp there. No, you have to actually walk into that zone. But I suspect that's probably just some antiquated method of gaming code. I haven't yet had the opportunity to hear if people do not like the teleporting characters. I have more rings and shoes of teleporting since I've already gone through the Palace of the Dead twice. So for the rating portions of this recording session, which will last through all the fortresses, I will not yet have heard if people don't like teleporting. People probably don't care, but I just want to let you know that if it is a bother, leave a comment, and I will remove those shoes from my people. Is that Dragoon not equipped with anything? No, he is. He's got a crossbow. Okay. Okay, so I mapped out all the fortresses, and then I created 4 formations to attack the last 4 fortresses. And I highlighted them in my spreadsheet of all my characters, because I keep a log of all my subscriber army. And so I can detail their stats and let the computer decide, like, hey, this guy should be a swordmaster. And I haven't really changed their classes, but it is nice to know that there are some alternatives, and it gives me some ideas. Plus, it helps me find out more about the game. For example, now I'll probably detail this in a later episode. I mean, I don't know, my guide videos don't do all that well, but now that I have winged shoes and more Hawkmen in my army, I actually have 4 Hawkmen Earth Rune Fencers. I don't like that they're all Earth, but that's what I got. It's Vartans that actually move slower. The other Hawkmen do not move slowly. What I mean by slower is a Vartan takes 6 RT to move, I believe, and then let's say I had a Hawkman Warrior, it'd be like 4 RT. I think if it was a Hawkman Cleric or Wizard, it'd be like 5 RT. I don't have the exact numbers with me right now, but I did take a look at some of that stuff. The reason why is because I had the wing shoes, and I was trying to study the RT movement of wing shoes and teleportation, and I realized that the class may also influence it as well. Yeah, even though Vartan, the description says a light foot winged unit, they take more RT to move. Now that being said, before you abandon Vartans, there's something I've always known, like we'll say from the 3rd or 4th episode. Vartans actually have what I call double stats. Their stat growth is decent, but what I call double stats is I have every class ranked as having 16 attribute points gifted from a base level. So let's say a warrior has 5 strength gifted from a base level. Maybe your base level of strength is 100. So if you were a warrior, you'd have 105. Well, Vartans have 32 stat points. and only a few classes have 32, and they're generally the advanced classes, such as, I don't know, Necromancer or Princess or something. Again, that's all information that I had been prepping on the side for potential guide videos. How did I get to this point? I don't remember what my initial topic. I know that I was looking at the Dragoon and setting up formations. Oh yeah, I had a spreadsheet. Yeah, okay. So I highlighted everybody who was positioned in the formation and then equipped them all with whatever I had. That way I wouldn't have to jump in between equipment screens, between deployments.
My people of Galgastan, rise.
Thanks for the fruit. Before we hit Qadriga Fortress, we are actually going to take a detour to Parampa Wildwood. Since I am concerned about how many days, I mean, again, this is very unimportant, it's just a me thing, we are actually going to approach from Tinamith Hill. The number of days it takes from where I am is the same when heading to the forest, whether I take 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever variants. However, when you exit the forest, you are ejected back in the direction you came from. So if I took the auto path of this one right here, that's the first auto path, I would be being ejected here, which is not helpful for going to Qadriga Fortress. Win with the Dragoon in the party. Form an action to debuff an enemy.
You call this chaos, you bring us freedom? The Tigers of Burnham will teach you what it means to rule!
When turn off the hit point bars, we're not going to need this. After emerging from Parampa Wildwoods, many more of our characters are now level 50. When we went through the Palace of the Dead first time, I was recruiting people as I went and continuously replacing individuals. I started out like maybe level 32, I think, and then I'd find someone level 34 or 36, and I'd just recycle my characters, replacing them as I kept getting higher and higher monsters. At the apex of my journey in there, the highest monster I could get was 45. And then on my second run through it, I managed to find some monsters that were level 57 or something, and I could recruit them and they would get D-leveled down to 50. Well, it seems that the Palace of the Dead works on a static leveling system, meaning the monsters, at least again, I've not reached post-game, but in the current section of the game I'm at, they are always going to be the same level. So even if I bring, say, a level 45 army, the guys on the first floors will be in the 30s or so. But going into the Wildwood, the enemy appears to be your level, just like in training, except in training is your level -1. By bringing level 50 people with me as bodyguards, I could actually recruit more level 50 people in the Parampa Wildwoods, rather than the couple guys I got from a boss fight. So I've actually bolstered up my ranks with them. It is reinforced with lots of more level 50 people. We're going to pretty much, is it face roll? I'm not sure if that's the term. We're pretty much going to face roll the rest of these fortresses now. And in some cases, I was actually able to recycle level 50 characters with lower stats for higher versions of themselves. We're starting to go back to being above average for their stats per level. Before, I was just going for anybody of that level because it was probably going to be worth it. Some of the characters I'm not going to recycle, mainly my Lodician archer that I get when we were attacking Barnicia Castle. I think the area where we fought Endorus in the desert oil area. I got an archer there as Lodician. I got a Balbodan Dragoon from when we went to Port Amish. We got the Zenobian Beast Tamer. His name's Hunter. When we were at the Archaeopolis of Rhine for the first time. We also found a Balbodan, I think it was an archer or a swordmaster or something, and my spreadsheet said that he would make a great Fusilier, and I really liked this idea because he's a Balbodian Fusilier. That's cool. Those characters I'm not going to recycle, even if they are not of the highest level. In addition to that, there's Colbert, who's just a regular Wallister trooper. We picked her up, I think, in a battle at Elmorka Castle. She has high stats. Even by my calculations, she'll still have high stats for level 50 when she gets there. Currently, she's only level 36, so she's already out-muscled by all my level 50 people. But when the Union cap eventually rises and she can climb up those ranks, she'll be a beefy level 50. That being said, I'm still not sure I'll keep her because I really like having rune fencers turned into wizards and stuff. For example, I've got a 1400 hit point cleric and a 1000 hit point cleric. Maybe there's like a 5-point intelligence or mind difference, and that doesn't really matter too much for clerics. So you can either have 300, 400 more hit points or 5 more points of intelligence mind or something like that. I'm gonna go with the hit points. I really like having recruiting enemy rune fencers and then converting them to whatever class. Since I had one Ring of the Dead after leaving the Palace of the Dead, because you can't carry out more than one, we went ahead and took a enemy rune fencer and converted him to a lich to recycle or replace X-Seer. So now X-Seer is no longer level 40. With something like 200 base intelligence and 900 base hit points. He's now a rune fencer with something like 1400 hit points and 190 intelligence or something like that. Those are not the exact numbers, but I'd rather have the 50% extra hit points rather than 10 points of intelligence. Especially since and I'm gonna check to make sure my math still holds because I did this days ago, but especially since I believe I know what all the attributes do and how much 1 point of mind or 100 points of mind or whatever influences. With enough mind points, you can actually increase your healing power. It's not worth it though. I have the exact numbers written down and stuff. I don't have that file open, right? Because I'm doing this battle here. But yeah, I've got all this information that I think we can really leverage, and I really feel like the hit points are the way to go. We got an interesting, I guess, experiment I want to try later when I unlock level 50 Union Cap, and I'll explain when we get to the next battle. So this one's about to wrap up.
Better to die than live under you.
He also does not have a Warren report. Although this is not a fortress, it is kind of on the way. We want to go to Boed Fortress, but along the way, first there's a cutscene at Elmorka Castle, now that we have Deneb, and we're going to get an extra companion at Fort Amish.
Where do you think you're going? He's not well.
A visit from an old comrade in arms might boost his spirits then.
Comrade in arms? Ha! If only you carved a foe half as well as you carved a pumpkin.
I should carve you for that. You certainly have the name for it. Cantaloupe. Oh, you poor dear. How are you?
Canopus. The name is Canopus.
Oh, I think he's asleep. Rise and shine, Warren.
quiet. He needs his rest.
Don't be silly. Why cling to that frail old body when there are so many others to be had?
Not everyone changes bodies at the first sign of a wrinkle.
This is the body I was born into, thank you very much. And who has wrinkles?
I have boots with less leather.
You're looking a little grey in the plumage yourself.
You leave my plumage out of this.
You're cute when you're angry.
I'm beginning to think Warren is the lucky one here.
Must have ruffled his feathers. Get well soon, old friend.
In the original Ogre battle, March of the Black Queen, Deneb, Canopus, and Warren were all part of the Xenomian army that the player ran.